Now, I'm not going to go on a rant, okay? I'm just going to like sit back, and this is one of those videos or recordings where I just talk my brain. And I've done a lot of thinking, and I've noticed that there are a lot of ETH maxis talking about price. And basically, through this whole, well, exit from the bear market, and this year where, like, Bitcoin's gone up 100%, and there's all these altcoins like Solana, Sui, like, all these people are coming out and saying this one's the new one, and blah 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 blah. And when it comes to the opinions of ETH maxis or people who are in Ethereum to the price, it's not. They argue the case that it's about the execution layer. Like monolithic against whatever they're building now. With the L2s, the Cosmos-esque type way, where many a company, like, it was just announced that Kraken's going to be building an L2, and on Optimism super chain and blah 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 blah. Right, so that's all tech in it, but we're talking about the ETH token here. Like, what is the relevance of the ETH token, and why has it underperformed? And I've got to say, it's got nothing to do with the tech. Shock horror. Okay, so I'm going to read this quickly, and let's just see if this guy actually hits on, because I haven't read it. This is the first time I'm looking at it. It's a lot to read, and I was just like, I was going to reply to his tweet and just give my reasonings as to why it has underperformed, but I need to read it first to see if he's actually touched on the thing that I think it is. And at the end of this, if he hasn't, then I'll explain why ETH is underperforming. And it's so obvious and so blatant. And I'm surprised that no one in the Ethereum community has actually realized that this is the problem. Okay, so I'm gonna go. All right, and excuse my reading. I'm gonna try and read it the best I can, as coherently as I can. And okay, so here we go. From Adriano Ferreira.eth. ETH's massive underperformance this cycle isn't due to flaws in its executional design or bad leadership. It's mainly because investors are uninformed, and it's not rude to point it out. For starters, the notion that BTC and ETH don't compete doesn't hold up. They absolutely do, and ETH surpasses BTC by every objective metric. For Ethereum to reach its full potential as the most valuable smart contract platform, ETH needs to be a better store of value than BTC. With proof of stake, ETH incentivizes participants to lock it up for yield. Finance is the most valuable use case for smart contracts, requiring native money with strong supply dynamics and minimal friction. Achieving these goals makes ETH more attractive to other users. BTC needs to evolve to look more like ETH to fulfill its narrative as a good store of value and money. ETH must function as a low-friction currency with strong store of value (SOV) properties to maximize POS (proof of stake) security while supporting its digital economy. BTC will need to boost functionality to resemble ETH without compromising network security. Whether maxis, influencers, or financial talking heads accept it or not, this is the reality. Investors don't realize BTC's supply cap is conditional, that 98 to 99% of mining revenue comes from issuance subsidies, or that the Lightning Network has been a massive failure, that it has or that the Lightning Network has been a massive failure and that it has captured only 0.025% of BTC supply. They don't understand that every ETH monetary policy has effectively reduced issuance, and that further changes are determined by overwhelming network consensus, not arbitrary decisions by Vitalik or the Ethereum Foundation. They overlook that mining causes $1 billion a month in structural selling at current BTC prices. ETH settles more value than BTC, generates about 3x more cash flow distributed as native yields, and has achieved net deflation since the merge over 2 years ago. ETH successfully fended off censorship attack from OFAC, and giants like Circle, Coinbase, BlackRock, Sony, Samsung, and now Kraken are building up preliminarily, I can't pronounce it, on top of ETH. I know what it means though. The roll-up model is exceptionally scaling ETH, making it the ideal setup for sustaining competitive evolution of execution stack while preserving decentralization and a common foundation framework. It's time to acknowledge the facts. Despite its underperformance, ETH's value proposition as a store of value is leading in fundamentals, and the gap is widening. Talking heads have intentionally omitted BTC's weaknesses and the conditionality of the 21 million supply cap, while distorting facts about ETH to dissuade investors from considering it an alternative to BTC. Until that changes, we cannot accept investors to become better informed, and this knowledge gap will make it difficult for ETH's price action to improve relative to BTC. Okay, so that's all well and fine. Basically, he's saying that ETH is a better store of value, or it's supposed to be a better store of value than BTC because it pays a yield. Okay, the yield is between like 3 and 5%. I'm not too sure. But basically, none of the things that I think are mentioned in what he's said here in these 5 paragraphs. What happened, I'd say, between what 2016 and 2020, or I would say basically in the first bull market for ETH, when ETH went from $6 to 1400, there was the ICO boom. Now, during the ICO boom, ETH was relatively cheap, or extremely cheap by today's standards. And what happened is people put money into ICOs, tons of ETH, tons of ETH. There's like Golem network, which hasn't produced anything for the Ethereum network that I can see, that has thousands of ETH. Okay, there's plus one. There was a one token scam thing as well that got thousands of ETH as well. There are scammers out there with thousands of ETH. ETH has been distributed to scammers basically, and in substantial amounts. So when the price does go up, of course they're gonna sell. You know, if there's buyers there, they're gonna sell at a reasonable price. So if you're expecting like exponential growth in Ethereum, price wise, then I'm afraid that there are people who hold a lot of ETH that are looking to dump, and it's just a matter of like basically waiting for that to clear out. How long it will take, God knows, because they have so much of it. There's so much ETH out there that is in the hands of people who basically got it on the cheap and have held it up until now, and they're selling every now and again. I think like in the last run up, like ETH price was like going up pretty well, and then all of a sudden the Golem network or foundation or whatever they are started selling. You know, they've got like billions, and there's another 8.3 billion coming from another scam. So you know what I'm saying? Basically, the ETH price is separate from the tech. The tech is great. Okay, as much as people don't want to think about bridging, it's as easy as clicking 2 buttons. I don't know why people are saying that user execution is a problem, and you know they need to figure out a way to do it, and blah 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 blah. Whatever, you know, it's very simple to bridge to another network and basically do whatever you have to do on the cheap. You know, like I just basically want to point out that the ETH price and the ETH token is separate from what the tech actually does. There's so much innovation on ETH, but the token is in the hands of people who basically have too much of it and they need to cash out somehow. So in the meantime, they're going to be selling when price goes up. It's that simple. You're expecting it to hit 10 grand. Wait for those wallets to empty. And I'm no Zach XBT, okay? I'm not out here saying, oh, I can prove that, you know, these foundations and scammers have tens of thousands of ETH, but I'm pretty sure that's the reason why price is not going up. Okay? And until those scammers and foundations and projects that from 2017, I'm sure like the OMG network have like, or I don't know if you guys remember OMG, you know, with the McDonald's brand and all that, and they produced nothing. They produced a wallet on the Plasma network and all this crap. You know, it was all marketing. But I'm sure they have tens of thousands of ETH that they're distributing very slowly and very quietly from various wallets. You wanna know why the price of like ETH is so weak against Bitcoin? You wanna know why that price is so weak in USD terms? It's because of that. It's got nothing to do with the tech and the development. So when you buy ETH, just know that it's to pay a gas cost and it's not an investment in the actual network, which is amazing. Like, you know, the things that have been built, crazy. So I mean, I just want to say that and just put it out there, and maybe people need to start looking at these addresses where there's tens of thousands of ETH and actually pointing out these people and say maybe we should do something about maybe getting out of the hands of scammers. Like that's the only way I can say it, is people who made promises and they didn't fulfill them, and they're just sitting on ETH, and they're probably thinking that they probably know that they're scammers, and they're worried what would happen if they dumped 10,000 ETH on the market, you know. So they do it slowly over time through various wallets. Just don't be so simple-minded. There's no issuance with ETH. In fact, it's actually burning, but at the same time the price is still flat to down. So yeah, I mean, you've even got like what's it called, the ETF. You've got an ETF with like, you know, potentially hundreds of millions, potentially billions coming into ETH, but it won't have an effect on price until these scammers are done selling, until these void projects that produce nothing, that added nothing to the network, actually run out of tokens in the treasury, and I don't know when that will be. So yeah, that's my opinion on it. And you know, the whole comparison to BTC, don't worry about BTC. BTC is so distributed that it doesn't matter whether ETH is a better store of value or not. As far as BTC holders are concerned, and as far as the allocations and how far it's distributed, basically when ETF company like BlackRock or whoever's involved buys $1 billion of Bitcoin, it affects the price. If they buy $1 billion of ETH, there's someone selling into that. There's definitely someone out there with tens of thousands of ETH that is selling into that, and it keeps the price either flat or down. It's stagnant, and it's going to take a long time, in my opinion, for that to change. So pray for ETH to hit 10,000 all you want. I just don't see it happening. And if anyone out there that's listening and knows how to search for these contracts or these treasuries that hold this substantial amount of ETH, just point it out and call those people out. They need to do something about it. We need to do something about it. Anyway, that's just I could say it's my opinion, but I believe that's what's true. Okay. Thanks for listening. I'm done here. There's nothing else to really talk about, unless you want me to ramble, which I won't, because no one listens past like 5 minutes anyway. All right. Hope you guys are having a good day, good morning, good evening, and peace out.